Energy is extremely important to our society. Almost everyone uses energy every single day of their life. Energy is needed in the construction of the homes and apartments we live in the manufacturing of the products that we use every day, in the production of the food that we eat, in healthcare, and in the commercial buildings that many of us or our parents work in. All homes need energy for electricity, heating, cooling, and many other amenities. Everywhere you go, energy runs above your head through power lines and below the ground through a system of pipes. Gas stations line our roadways, and parking garages now have ports to charge electric cars. Even our traffic system could not function without energy. With all of these uses of energy in our society, plus many others, it is clear that the debate surrounding new energy sources is a debate that will affect all of the people in our society. This debate has been sparked mainly by the problem of climate change. Climate change can occur naturally, but human activities have caused this phenomenon to occur at much faster than the natural rate. In fact, according to NASA, the industrial activities that our modern civilization depends upon have raised atmospheric carbon dioxide levels from 280 parts per million to 400 parts per million in the last 150 years. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which is a gas that blocks heat from escaping the Earth's atmosphere. An increase in carbon dioxide causes the Earth's atmosphere to increase in temperature, which can produce a variety of environmental effects. According to NASA, these effects include loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, and longer, more intense heat waves. In addition, the intensity, frequency, and duration of North Atlantic hurricanes, as well as the frequency of the strongest hurricanes, which would be Category 4 and 5, have all increased since the early 1980s. Heat waves can cause famines by causing droughts that kill food crops. They can also cause wildfires by drying out the forests. Sea level rise causes coastal flooding and infrastructure damage. The loss of sea ice contributes to sea level rise and hurts the ecosystems of Arctic animals. These are negative effects on our society and ecosystem that have been sped up by human activities and are expected to get worse as time goes on if there are no changes to our energy sources. Many world leaders are extremely worried about these problems and even have created the Paris Agreement, a worldwide pact to reduce carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions. The goal of this pact is to keep global temperature rise this century well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Being able to achieve this goal without negatively affecting other parts of the environment will require a lot of research into different types of energy and their implications. Scientists and engineers around the world have already begun this work. They have been creating new energy sources and investigating the effects of these sources on all aspects of society. I am extremely interested about this research on renewable energy because I would love to be an engineer and be able to work with these energy sources as my job. To gain a better understanding of the effects of these renewable energy, I took a look at some of this research. Throughout my research, I found out a lot about all different types of energy and their effects on the environment, the economy, and the health of people in our society and around the world. I started my research by learning about the two types of energy, renewable and non-renewable. Currently, fossil fuels are the main source of energy for our society. These fuels are coal, natural gas, and oil. These sources are non-renewable resources, which means that eventually they will run out. We currently don't know when these fuels will run out, and hydraulic fracturing has given us a new way to extract natural gas, but no matter what, there is a limited supply of every fossil fuel. In addition, fossil fuels emit carbon dioxide, which is linked to climate change. A new energy policy is going to be extremely necessary for our society to continue to be as technologically advanced and industrious as it is now. Throughout my research, I realized that we cannot continue to rely on fossil fuels. Many scientists and engineers believe the same thing. According to the National Academy of Engineering, in comparison to fossil fuels, renewable sources of electricity such as solar, wind, and geothermal can offer substantial environmental benefits. This is why there is so much investment and research going into the development of renewable energy sources. These energy sources harness renewable resources like the sun, wind, running water, and biofuel to create an energy source that can never be exhausted. When harnessed correctly, these energy sources could be much more reliable and sustainable than fossil fuels because they will never run out. Also, according to the National Academy of Engineering, renewable energy sources produce relatively low levels of GHG emissions and conventional air pollution. This means that renewable energy sources barely affect climate change, unlike fossil fuels. These sources of energy are truly the future of energy. However, there are still many adjustments necessary for these sources of energy to be usable for a large modern society. While these sources of energy produce next to no carbon dioxide or other air pollutants, that does not mean that they are perfect for our environment. According to the National Academy of Engineering, water consumption is a major issue for all thermoelectric generating technologies, including solar thermal and biomass combustion, and the production of some photovoltaic cells, for instance, generates toxic substances that may contaminate water resources. This shows that renewable energy sources need to continue to be refined before they can be used as the sole energy source in our society. More investment in renewable energy is the answer to these issues. More investment means that there will be more scientists working on these energy sources, reducing the time that it takes to improve these energy sources. In the past, much more investment has gone to fossil fuels, causing the development of renewable energy sources to move at a snail's pace. According to George Sturzinger, absolutely no attention was paid to supporting the development of a full-fledged renewable industry. These efforts produced bursts of development followed by periods of no development at all. This stop-and-start approach precluded the growth of a strong domestic industry. This shows that with more investment, the renewable energy industry will be able to take off and become the major source of energy in our society. In the future, these sources of energy will produce almost no pollution, which would be a way to keep our industries running at full capacity without slowly making our planet uninhabitable. Another impact of renewable energy is the effect that it has on the living things around it. The main type of renewable energy that has negative impacts on living beings is wind energy. According to Jeffrey P. Cohn, Fry estimates that between 3 and 11 birds are killed by each turbine each year, amounting to as many as 100,000 birds nationwide, and about 10% are golden eagles, red-tailed hawks, American kestrels, and burrowing owls, the latter a California species of special concern. This is with the wind energy capacity that we have now. An increase in the amount of wind energy will only increase the amount of bird deaths caused by wind farms if there are no changes. Plus, many of these birds are extremely important to their ecosystem, which causes concern for many environmentalists. However, this does not mean that we should stop investing in wind energy. Investments in wind energy will only help with the efforts to make turbines safer for birds. According to Cohn, the industry has built new solid structure poles with fewer places for birds to perch, redesigned the tops of turbines to discourage birds from alighting, tested acoustic and other means of deterring birds and bats from flying around wind turbines, and funded studies to learn how many bats die and the causes of their death. One wind energy company even moved a proposed wind farm at Foot Creek Rim in Wyoming more than 150 feet to avoid an area where raptors often flew. These changes in the design of the wind turbines and research into the habits of birds and bats will cause a reduction in the environmental impacts of wind energy. All of these changes need investments to be able to occur. No investment means no change. Energy is also evaluated from an economic standpoint. This is because energy is both an industry and an important input for many other industries. Businesses mostly care about the cost of the energy, not where it comes from. Currently, fossil fuels are much cheaper and more reliable than renewable energy. This is making it much more difficult to convince businesses and even whole countries to switch over to renewable energy. According to Angus McCrone, it is also possible that the recent big fall in coal, oil, and gas prices may tempt some developing countries to keep relying on fossil fuel capacity for longer. These countries have to go for what is cheapest because an increase in cost could cause many economic problems. For their businesses to survive, it is necessary to be as cost effective as possible. Right now, renewable energy does not make the cut for them. The environment and the economy are going two separate ways for them. In addition, according to the National Academy of Engineering, the challenge in scaling up renewable systems in general is a function of 1. Their cost compared to conventional generation, 2. Their ability to be integrated into the grid, which may require new controls to optimize variable output from multiple distributed sources, and 3. The availability of cost-effective multi-hour storage. All of these problems are cost problems. There is very little infrastructure in place for renewable energy, which means that there are many upfront costs associated with producing this type of energy. Renewable energy cannot become the main energy source without having their costs reduced to below the cost of fossil fuels. This could be a possibility in the future. According to the National Academy of Engineering, the cost of some renewable technologies might go down as increased deployment leads to economies of scale and efficiencies from learning. This has already started to happen. According to Angus McCrone, renewable generation costs continue to fall, particularly in solar photovoltaics. In the second half of 2015, the global average levelized cost of electricity for crystalline silicon PV was $122 per megawatt hour, down from $143 in 2014. The reason for this price reduction may be the Sunshot Initiative, which the U.S. Department of Energy launched in 2011 with the aim of lowering the installed costs of solar by 75% between 2010 and 2020. It may also be the fact that 2015 produced a new record for global investment in renewable energy. The amount of money committed to renewables, excluding large hydroelectric projects, rose 5% to $285.9 billion, exceeding the previous record of $278.5 billion achieved in 2011. Investment in research and development has reduced the price of many different types of renewable energy. This causes there to be economic benefits surrounding renewable energy instead of just environmental benefits. Another huge economic benefit of renewable energy is the amount of jobs that this new industry will create. According to Robert Pollin, generally speaking, spending on green investments creates approximately 3 times as many jobs as spending the same amount of money on maintaining our existing fossil fuel sector. One of the largest economic concerns is job creation. Throughout my research, I found that a lot of the economic concerns surrounding renewable resources is that it would destroy jobs. Most of this concern came from coal miners, who would lose their jobs if we switched over to renewable energy. The problem with them directing the blame towards renewable energy is that coal jobs are disappearing on their own. According to the EIA's annual coal report, the average number of employees at U.S. coal mines decreased 12% to 65,971 employees, the lowest on record since EIA began collecting data in 1978. The renewable energy industry will not destroy any coal jobs because these jobs are already going away. Coal, a non-renewable resource, has begun to run out. The renewable energy industry will create new jobs for these displaced workers who without this industry would be displaced with nowhere to go. The renewable energy industry has already started to employ more and more workers, even though the industry is still small. According to Michael Peck, about 85,000 people are employed in the U.S. wind industry today, up from 50,000 a year ago. As the industry grows, more and more people will be employed. Throughout my research, I discovered that many of the complexities surrounding energy sources stem from trying to choose energy sources that are beneficial to all parts of a modern society. According to Robert Pollin, we now hardly have the luxury of choosing either jobs or the environment. This means that our future will have to be a future where the economy and the environment are able to coexist and thrive. A future like that will require increased investment in renewable resources. As a future engineer, I am extremely excited to be able to have the chance to participate in the improvement of our renewable resources. Thank you.